All right. So, Claudia, why don't you share what were you experiencing before you decided to reach out and work with me?
Before we started working with the meditations, I was going through a very tough time in my life where I had a lot of anxiety. I would say depression, even though I wasn't like formally diagnosed, but it was just, I knew something was wrong, and it was all these crazy thoughts that were nonstop, all the time. Heart being, having a hard time to go to sleep, thinking about things that were just crazy, to be honest, things that were like not gonna happen, and it was just all made up in my mind. That sort of began to interfere with my personal life, my career, and when it got to that level, that's when I decided to that I needed help, and that I needed to do something about it.
Right. And you reached out to me. What is it in what attracted you to me to be able to work on this for you?
I had been following you for a while, maybe like a year or a year and a half, and I had seen some of your work, and that you had, done meditations, also worked with other people, and some of your testimonials as well. I read your book, a little bit about your book actually. I
Yeah.
got the free version, and then now that I'm here, I'm gonna get a copy.
Epic. Yeah.
But in your social media, I learned about your story and the hardships that you went through, and I knew that I had, you had something to teach me. Obviously, my hardships were not as bad, um, and if you could, go through being able to overcome that, I knew that there was something that I could learn from you.
Right. So we went, we did meditation. I taught you different breath tools and energy tools and all of these different things. And how did that play out, like in your life when those triggers came up and when that anxiety came up again while we were working together?
It was a roller coaster when we were working together. At the beginning, there was so much emotion, so much that I felt that was, getting out of my body, my system, my heart, like a lot of healing. And there were a lot of ups and downs, but I feel like just being constant with the meditation helped me heal a lot. Also, knowing that, this breath work techniques, the mantras, I would say, all the affirmations in the morning really, really helped me um, to feel better, to heal, really get rid of the anxiety, just being able to sleep. And I told you one time, like, I've never woken up this late or I've slept this much, because my anxiety will just wake me up 5 6 in the morning. It
Mm.
didn't matter what time I went to bed, it was just terrible. I think that I will go to sleep having these thoughts, and then I will wake up having this thought, so I wasn't really having a good night's sleep, and all of that just took a toll on my life. And through this work, I was able to heal that, but also learn and being able now to manifest other things that, I want for my life.
Right. So I talked about how we're like emotionally constipated, right?
Yeah,
And
exactly.
right, essentially we have all this stuff and the anxiety was just a result of just all these suppressed emotions. So as we went in and we did the healings and the sessions, and then you did the work on your own, and then when you started really feeling clearer and calmer and stuff, what was that realization like? To when I know I said it like conceptually to you in the beginning, but as you started to experience, how did that feel?
I think, go ahead and repeat the question, sorry.
Yeah, yeah. So as we're emotionally
Yeah.
constipated, right? Like as you started really seeing results, you really as we
Oh, okay,
started kind
gotcha.
of releasing all of that anxiety and stuff, and you started feeling better, and you started not what you the anxiety wasn't as much anymore. What was that realization like to realize that this was really just residue from the past?
Exactly. My, what I had to heal was something that was very important for my life, and something that I feel like was the biggest holdup or the biggest event that kept me back. Once I was able to get through that, I realized that it doesn't matter what comes to me in life in the future, that there's nothing else that will hurt me as much as what I went through in my childhood did. There could be nothing worse than that, in my opinion. And if I was able to heal from that trauma, then I'm sure that I'm going to get through any other hardships, whether emotional or financial or any type of hardships in the future.
All right. So let's talk a little bit about that trauma, right? Because who was that trauma about, and what was that thing that you needed to heal?
So I grew up in a very abusive household. Growing up with my family, the Hispanic culture, it's that tends to be a normal thing sometimes, and I sort of developed hate towards both of my parents. One of them because was the abuser, the other one for taking on the abuse, and it was just tough being able to spend time with them, even though they change and they're still trying to change, and they were good parents towards me. They raised me well, they taught me well, but just sometimes their behavior towards me and my sisters and what was going on in the family wasn't the best, and it was very traumatic too for me and for my family. So I knew that we all had to heal. At the beginning, it was just really thinking about me, but after we started working, now I'm just not healing for myself, but also for my sisters and for my parents. Um, After now that we went through this whole 12 weeks, at the end, I realized that now that I'm with my parents and I'm spending time with my family, that I don't feel that hate, that I honestly feel like just very neutral. Like I'm just like, oh well, I don't hate you. We can move, and past this and have that relationship that that we want to have.
Yeah, so you had a really good test of that, like recently, spending a weekend with your parents, being with them 24/7, when
Yeah.
it might have been maybe a few months or at least a few months before you had that experience, and before every time you would hang out with them, it was tough. You had a lot of anger. You didn't like kind of being around them,
Yeah.
and then so just kind of give us a sense of the difference of what it was before and what it was after.
So before, for example, my dad has a very explosive, very bad temperament, and whenever he will react that way, I would just feel like this hate inside of me. Like I don't want to see you. I don't want to be with you. I hate you as a father. Um, Recently, there was an incident when he reacted verbally bad, and I didn't feel that way anymore. But I just responded very calmly, to him, and like, okay, but why are you reacting this way? And all of a sudden, he just like stopped, because before I wouldn't tell him this type of things. I would, react differently, cry or whatever, or leave, or just, fight with him. But it was so funny because the way I responded to that reaction was in a very peaceful and calm way. And I wasn't like bothered by it. I guess directly. Like I decided not to take on that energy and let it hurt me or let it just, steal my peace.
Right. Epic. So, from this work, from releasing all this, now being in a calmer, peaceful place and not letting, you're not triggered as much anymore, you're experiencing a lot of magic in your life, right? You got manifestations coming in your life, and, can you touch a little bit about that?
Yes.
What are the things that you've been manifesting?
So, there's like several things that I've manifested besides, things that I want and things in my career. And some of the things are not like where I'm like trying super hard. So I told you about a hot tub, a jacuzzi that I have been looking since June for quite a while, and I picked a place to set the hot tub once I had it at home, and it's in the backyard. And so I started using that space to meditate daily, to do my yoga, and to just, soak in all the sun, because that's where the sunrise comes out. And it's a very beautiful place. So in December, I somehow we got a hot tub through a client of ours from my boyfriend, and it was completely free. We didn't have to spend a dime. We were looking at hot tubs, and they were like close to $10,000, and it was something that maybe we could, spend and do it payments or something. We just got it for free. Some of the things that I manifested was, for example, I was just thinking about this particular person, and this is I don't want to say too much about it, but briefly, it's a person that I got along well with that person, but I didn't want to have a professional relationship with any longer. But at the moment, it existed, and so I was okay with it. But eventually, I was like, I don't think this is gonna work out. And a few days later, this other person just brought it up on his own and told me, we're not gonna continue this relationship any longer. And I was like, okay, that's better for me, because I hate being the person to confront this kind of things.
That's what you wanted.
Yeah, exactly. And I was like trying to avoid that, but it just happened. And it was just a thought or two that I had about it. It wasn't like I was like really meditating or like super trying really hard to make this happen. So there were things that were, just happening on its own without me really trying so hard. One of the things that we did an exercise about picking a symbol to know, or just to let the universe let us know when things are manifesting around us, and as a sign that we're in the right track. And I had picked a rabbit. I picked a rabbit because it's the year, the Chinese year when I was born. But when I decided about this rabbit, I had in mind that I wanted to see like a real rabbit, not like the cartoon rabbits or other types of rabbits. Anyways, very particular. So I got very particular with it, to a point when I was like, am I just like being super picky when the universe won't even show it to me?
Right,
I
too
really,
specific.
yes,
Yeah.
I was really thinking about that. So days went by and I wouldn't see a single rabbit, and I was getting worried, but I was just kept doing my thing. Then all of a sudden, I get a picture of 3 rabbits that is coming from my dad, from my parents. And to me, it was like a huge sign, because I started doing the work to heal that relationship. And that showed to me that, I was manifesting a better relationship, father-daughter relationship, which is what I really wanted. And then later on, I got a confirmation about that, because a month later after that, I was also with my parents on a trip, and we went to a place that we had been wanting to go for 4 times that we tried, and it was closed to a store. And so finally we walked into the store, and there are 2 paintings of rabbits there. So, these are the kind of things that just encouraged me, gave me confidence to continue doing the work. And after that, and throughout all this time that we've been meditating, and now that I will just continue on doing this myself, I realize that the signs are there. Angels are talking to us. The universe is showing us, answering our questions. But now I'm able to see that. Whereas before, I was very clouded because of my thoughts, really. But when I started changing those thoughts, changing my, how I talk to myself, everything all started changing.
Awesome. One thing that sticks out to me as you were talking was also there were some business opportunities that kind of just showed up for you. Just briefly, like how has your business changed since working with me?
So I'm a first-time business owner, a lawyer, and running a law firm. It's not easy. And many of the things that I've been wanting to do, I don't do them because I'm afraid. but I've had, some goals in my practice to grow my firm. So at working through this, and it was funny because sometimes this sort of things will happen after our sessions when we will talk about it, and then we just ended our session, and then I see a text message from a colleague from a different city telling me, hey, I'm at this organization, can I put your name as a trusted lawyer to refer to our clients, the clients that we cannot serve because they're a nonprofit and their help is very limited. And I was like, yes, of course, right? You can add me on there, and it just feels so good to know that they trust me enough to refer me those clients. And also at the same time, this is an opportunity to grow my firm, help more people in a different city. Like, this is in a different city, which is also one of my goals and my dreams, to expand to different cities.
Epic. So you worked with me for 3 months. How would you? What was the best thing about working with
Um, that's a hard question
me?
because you're really easy to talk to. I feel like it was so easy to learn from you because you went through a lot. You share about your experience, and I learned that what happened to me might not be the worst, but we have something in common where you helped me get through, trauma and a lot of things. I think that the best thing working with you was that you know so much that yes, I can go and look at some videos, read and everything, but there were so many things that I learned from you where just you kind of just guided me, for me to continue and learn more about whatever area of meditation or breath work or other types of, healing.
Cool. So for people, I've encountered people who are kind of like, there's a lot of people that are interested in healing and doing this kind of work, but when it kind of comes down to it, there's a lot of fear, and they want to actually make that jump. And so for anyone that's kind of intrigued and seen my stuff and is interested in working with me, but just isn't ready to completely jump, what would you tell them?
Your time is gonna come. Like, your time is gonna come for sure. I think that, I had been looking for this way before, but I was afraid. I was there. I was afraid to make that jump and really accept that I needed the help. But once you're thinking about it, and if you don't do it right there and then, things are gonna get worse. I think that when I started following you and I started looking into maybe implementing some of this into my life, maybe thinking that this will help, but I guess I was too afraid to even talk about this, talk about my trauma. And that's the first step to heal, to be able to share this. This is actually the first time that I talk about what I went through in my childhood, um, publicly, I guess,
Right.
now. And but that is the first thing that you need to be able to heal and leave that in the past. Now, like I said again, your time is gonna come. Might be at a point where you are about to explode, where you really need the help, or it might be to a point where it's not so bad and you can still start now, so it won't get worse.
Awesome. Well, thank you, Claudia, for being with me. Thank you for doing this interview with me. I am thrilled to kind of see all of your changes and all of your developments, and excited to see where you go from here. All
Thank
right.
you.